Hi, Amanda.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You look so lovely, well lit, and braided to the side. I love it.
Thank you. Braids to the side, got the ring light situation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You better glow. You better glow. So,
How's it going? Can you hear me all right?
yes, I can hear you great.
Okay, I have to use this thing because I'm waiting for a new phone to come in because my speaker is broken.
I totally understand. It's all good. We're gonna make it work. So, I have to ask, how is the pandemic and all 2020 treating you?
Whew. I mean, I feel like it's been a struggle for everybody, you know? I
Yeah.
feel like everyone has been kind of fighting to keep their head above water in a number of ways, many facets of their life. I feel like people have been just trying to be productive and positive, and some not productive. Some I talk to friends and they're just like, I need to just take some time to mentally, emotionally deal with what's going on in 2020.
Yes.
So I have kind of been doing a little bit of both. I've been trying to, make sure that I stay active physically. I find that like when I stay active, it helps to keep my head in a good space.
Sure.
So, I do my yoga thing, and I've been doing a lot of songwriting, mainly stuff for like television and commercials, like the syncing licensing world. Um,
Nice. Nice.
and then yeah, just taking it one day at a time.
Which is apparently the only way they come. So I mean, what can you do?
Exactly. Just one day at a time is all we can do.
Really, really it is. So if you guys are not familiar with my lovely guest here, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of who she is and all of the wonderful accomplishments she has made thus far. So you attended the LaGuardia High School of Music and Arts and Performing Arts, otherwise known as the Fame High School.
Fame School,
There you go.
allegedly.
Shout out to the Fame School, y'all. You also have done studio work as a backing vocalist with Stevie Wonder, Alicia Keys, J Hud, Lenny Kravitz, Michael Bolton. The list goes on and on and on. But a lot of people, including myself, know you from season 3 of The Voice,
The
where
Voice.
where
Dun,
you should
dun,
have won. I'm
dun.
gonna say you should have won. But
Thanks.
we were so happy to hear you there performing and showing the world your gifts. So glad that a larger audience got to know who you were. And from there, you did even more amazing things. You toured with Adele as a backing vocalist on her 25 tour,
Hmm.
world tour, excuse me. So massive album, massive tour. You also toured with the Killers, opening up for them and also as a backing vocalist.
Hmm.
And then in 2018, you released your own music, your first debut full-length album, Dirty Water, which we'll get into a little bit more later. So tell me, what did you learn while you were on The Voice that you have taken into your career since then?
Well, I think that I should say, sort of going into that show, I had already had a bit of experience as a vocalist and performer in the music business going into it. And so to be 100% honest, my goal while I was on that show was to have as many people see me perform as possible.
Sure.
I didn't go on that show, in all honesty, saying to myself, I want to win this, to be honest. I was just like, I don't care how long am on this show. Every single performance that I get to have is another opportunity for people to see me and to know who I am and potentially like my music in the future.
Right.
Um, I will say that that show definitely taught me to, follow my gut and not back down when I believe in something.
Hmm.
Whether it be like song choices or whether it be, any artistic decision that I may make for myself, as an artist. And, and yeah, to just kind of like follow my gut and stick to my guns and do what feels right for me is what I learned on that show.
There you go. No, that's a big lesson that can manifest itself in multiple ways.
Yes. Hello, everyone, by the way.
Yes,
All the
yes,
folks
by the
tuned
way,
in.
thank you everyone for joining us. Tell your friends to come on in. It's gonna be a great night.
Tell the
Um,
people.
that's right, tell the people. So let's just jump into the song list and then we'll talk more along the way. The first song on your list is classic Hero by Mariah Carey.
Hmm.
We'll listen to a little bit and then we'll talk more about it. Y'all, welcome to Five Songs That Changed My Life. My special guest, as you see below, is Ms. Amanda Brown.
I mean, that's a classic.
What else can you say? It's Mariah.
It's
At
Mariah
the height of
Carey.
Mariah.
It's a classic song. Like, I feel like not many people, well, I don't know. I don't know about these young kids today. They may not know this song, but I feel like not
I
many
hope they
people
do.
in my
I hope they
generation
do.
don't know that song. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Five Songs with Amanda Brown. I do not own rights to this music. Oh, yes. Keep
Yeah,
that
I
in
had to
mind,
pin that.
y'all.
I had to pin that because Instagram not
Right.
gonna mess with me
Because
tonight.
folks will come on here and they'll be like, this isn't your song. You can't play this. Everybody's just come take a
Instagram will
chill
shut me
pill.
down. They've done it to me before.
Oh, do they? Yeah. I mean, I feel like in general, they're pretty strict about the whole music thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a classic song. So the story behind that song for me, this was so difficult, by the way, because I was like, oh my God, there's so many songs that I love. But I really had to think about songs that kind of like affected me specifically, and to think about the songs and not just artists that have affected me and have had an impact on my life as a creative. And so for this one, I actually sang this song in third grade.
Oh,
And it was my very first performance ever.
wow.
And it was for my third grade graduation. My school at the time only went to third grade. So we were gearing up to graduate. And the teacher at the time was like, we're going to perform this song for our graduation. Everyone in the class is going to sing it. If some people want to, audition for the solo, then, we're going to hold auditions. And me and my friend at the time, we both used to like just enjoy singing on our own. Like at that point in my life, I was super young and I just like sang for fun, in my
Mm.
own quiet time. But I ended up auditioning for it, and actually she did too. And we both ended up singing it
Oh, wow.
and, split the solo for the lead. But I remember it specifically because, on graduation day, I remember singing it, and my dad was in the audience. He was filming it, and he was like, I remember the look in his face. He was just like, oh, what a Russ. I wish I get a voice from. And I was just like, yeah, I do sing, Dad. And that was the end of it. After that, I had to sing in church every single day after he heard that performance.
And that was when you messed up. No.
Exactly. But no, I remember that experience. I remember the feeling of being on stage. I remember, having to rehearse the lyrics, and I was extremely nervous. I remember what I was wearing. I was wearing this like little this white dress, and I had these black sandals with these white socks with frills. And now the whole, white sock with frill look has come back. The socks with sandals
It's
thing is in.
vintage. Mhm. Hmm.
But yeah, that was like the first big performance that I had. And yeah, that was kind of a moment in my life that solidified, me as a singer. I think, I wasn't a professional singer, but I knew at that point that I really enjoyed singing, that I enjoyed music. And then not so much singing in front of other people. Like, it would take me a long time soon after that before I would get comfortable with singing in front of an audience. But I knew at that point that like I wasn't terrible, based off of people's reactions.
Right.
I know it wasn't terrible, so I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool, this is cool. And that song was the big song for me. I also listened to a lot of Mariah Carey back then because she was probably like one of the only secular artists at the time that I was allowed to listen to because I grew up in church.
Hmm.
And so I would play Mariah Carey on repeat.
I mean, who
So
didn't?
yeah. I mean, she was just, I felt like when I was growing up, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, like Brandy, like they were kind of people that I grew up just sort of like looking up to and admiring, and just these incredible singers that were able to tell stories with their voices. And outside of the gospel music world, like those were the only people that I was allowed to listen to anyway. So
Got you, got you. Well, those were great exceptions. Um, in doing my research for this, I found out something very interesting about this song. For one, Mariah
oh,
really get her kudos as a songwriter. Mariah
Mariah
is an
Carey's an
incredible
incredible
songwriter.
songwriter.
Right,
Right.
exactly. This song she did not write for herself.
No, she wrote it for Gloria Estefan.
There you go. Which is crazy. She didn't even want to sing the song.
Well, you know what? I think that Mariah Carey, when she first started out, you know, she was writing music for herself, but she also was writing music for other people. You know, she's a songwriter, and I think that like even earlier on in her career, that is kind of like where she got her beginnings outside of like you know singing backgrounds for other artists. Like she was a songwriter first, you know, and happened to have the most ridiculous voice as well. God
Right.
damn it.
Right.
But yeah, no, she wrote the song for Gloria Stefan. I think that she was signed to Columbia at the time, and they were like, no, you need to keep this song for yourself. See, we both did our research. Come on now,
Exactly.
come
Come on,
on,
research.
Jason.
Come on, research. But no, that's crazy to me because it's always these twists of fate, if you will, that happen with these massive songs that touch people in a special way. Have you had any interesting twists of fate in your own career that propelled you to higher heights or pushed you as an artist?
I mean, I will definitely say that my twist of fate probably started, you know, within the background singing world. I used to sing in wedding bands in New York. And you know, any musician that like lives and works in New York City at some point has worked in a wedding band. It's kind of like a rite of passage, as it were.
Of course.
And I was singing in this wedding band at the time, and I was still fairly green. And there was a saxophone player in this one band that I worked in. Shout out to Dave Watson.
Shut
Um,
up.
and I knew that he played, you know, for Alicia Keys. And you know, we were sitting down during a break, and I sort of jokingly said to him, like, well, you know, if Alicia's ever looking for a background singer, let me know, man. And he was like, well, actually, she's having auditions tomorrow, and you should go. And he was like, I'll contact, you know, her management and let them know that you're coming. And I was like, oh shit. So I went to the audition, and there was a line of like, this was back in like, I want to say 2006. Yeah,
Okay.
2006. Oof, God. And there was a line of like 500 people outside waiting to audition. And I called Dave up, and I was like, Dave, I'm probably not gonna get seen. Like there are a million people out here. And he was like, hold on, no, no, don't go, don't go. I'll call them, and then someone's gonna come down and pick you up. So someone came down and met me and brought me all the way upstairs. I didn't have to wait in line. And my mom's in here. My mom's like, I remember the day you told me you got
Hey,
it.
mom. Oh,
Hey, mom. But yeah, so I went up and I auditioned, and then I got a call back and another call back and then another call back to sort of sing with the other singers that they had selected, and then I got it. But that was kind of like a really crazy twist of fate. It was a combination of me sort of, you know, putting myself out there, and you know, a bit of luck, but then also, you know, being professional and prepared for an audition and getting it.
so was
So
that
yeah.
singing back up on tour with her?
That was singing background for Alicia Keys for her As I Am tour.
Ah, very nice.
Yes. Oof, it was wild. It was wild. I've been in it for a little minute
Yeah.
now.
Oh my gosh. So what was the greatest lesson from that tour?
Oh my God, I learned so many things on that tour. First of all, it was my first time like really traveling outside of the country. I mean, outside of visiting family in Jamaica, uh, that was my first time traveling. And so, you know, you're visiting, you know, France and the UK and Germany and, you know, traveling to Australia and New Zealand for the first time. It can be a bit overwhelming. And it was also my first time being away from home for that long, being away from New York City and my family and my friends for that long. and really learning what it's like to be a working musician on the road, which can be very, very difficult at times. You know, it can be a very lonely place. And so I just learned tons of things about myself, how important discipline and work ethic and sleep and water is. And and just like
Mhm.
making sure that you take care of your mental health, while you're on the road, and your physical health while you're on the road. And I also learned, I learned a lot about what it was that I wanted at the time. I think that experience taught me that I really, really enjoy singing background for other artists. But also I wanted to explore, potentially writing songs, and maybe even just writing songs not just for other people, but for myself as well, and pursuing, potentially a solo career. So yeah, I learned a lot. It was my first world tour, and there were many gems to be had.
Awesome. Amazing. Amazing.
Oh
So
my
the
God,
next
but
song,
the time is like flying by. It's already 5:22. I'm like,
yeah, I know, it really
let me know if
does.
I'm talking too much.
No, ma'am. This is your moment. You talk as much as you want to.
Okay.
The next song on your list brings us into the jazz world. It's "It Don't Mean a Thing" by Duke Ellington. And this particular version has Ella Fitzgerald on vocals, the
Okay.
incredible Ella
Hmm.
Fitzgerald. So we're going to listen to a little bit of it, and then we'll chit chat about that. Hey, that's right. Do
Oof.
do 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 do.
Good
Yes,
Lord.
yes.
Just Ella. Every
I
time I
mean,
listen to her, I just feel like my brain just goes.
mhm, mhm. It goes do. No.
Exactly, exactly. It's so funny because I should have told you this, but the version of the song that I was referencing is the Ivy Anderson version, which is the original Duke Ellington
Yes.
version of that song. I mean, Ella's ridiculous, and there have been so many covers of this Duke Ellington song. But for me, it's the Ivy Anderson version, and that's simply because when I was in high school, I auditioned for the senior jazz band.
Mhm.
And at the time, I didn't know anything about jazz music. I didn't know any of the jazz singers, jazz instrumentalists, any of the famous jazz creatives that, we all know today. But I, at the time, just really wanted to be in the jazz band because it was like, to me, this cool group of high school students that were playing insanely well. And in my junior year of high school, they were going to be auditioning for the Essentially Ellington Jazz Competition, which is a competition that's run by Lincoln Center. And they have all of these high schools audition from all over the country, to then select a few to compete at Lincoln Center. And, the head of the jazz department at the time in my school heard me sing. I don't know what it was for. I don't know if it was like a senior choral solo that I did or what, but he contacted the head of the vocal department, and she was just like, hey, would you consider potentially, auditioning for the senior jazz band? They're looking for a vocalist. And I was like, no. And long story short, obviously I ended up auditioning for it, and I got it. And then it was like a crash course in jazz singers and jazz music and jazz history, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with specifically the vocalists. I mean, like Sarah Vaughan for me is just one of the most perfect singers, musicians. She just had an incredible way of phrasing, and on top of that was an extremely talented piano player as well. But the Ivy Anderson version was the version that I initially learned, for this competition, this jazz competition. And I had to, I mean, I would put my headphones on at night and I would listen to this song. I would put it on repeat, put in my little CD player and have it on repeat and put my headphones in and go to sleep listening to it. And then I'd wake up listening to it, and it would be like all I ingested outside of my schoolwork during that time was like this jazz world.
Mhm.
And Yeah, and it was just like an incredibly important learning experience for me because that sort of that experience decided, where I was going to go after that. I went on to, attend Howard University. And while I did not graduate from there because I ended up leaving, and I wanted to pursue a career in music, and so that's a whole other story. But when I was there, I auditioned for the vocal jazz performance and jazz history program there, and so that one song and led to many experiences that have greatly impacted my life and the way that I see and listen to music, I think.
Nice. No, that's
Y'all
amazing.
still there?
They're here. They're here, and more are coming because these stories are fascinating. So, where does jazz fall into the spectrum of influences for you now as you create your own music?
I mean, I think that it's always jazz music is always going to be an influence, whether or not it's intentional or not, in the music that I write, the way that I perform. That one experience led to us, performing at Lincoln Center for the essentially Ellington Jazz Competition. We got accepted to it, and I ended up winning an award, the Ella Fitzgerald Outstanding Vocalist Award. Ella Fitzgerald Foundation has, scholarships that they give, and I
I
ended
mean,
up
that sounds
winning.
cool.
It was very, very cool. Wynton Marsalis was there. Shout out to Wynton.
Hello, Heather.
Wynton Marsalis was there, and he was one of the. I hate saying the word judge, but he was like one of the, you know, coaches. He was one of the people that were deciding who was going to win, all of these awards, and it was just an incredible experience. And after that, I ended up doing a number of other things with the senior jazz band. I did some stuff with Reel to Reel, which Lincoln Center had this program where, they sort of combined, jazz in film and jazz music with film. And I had the opportunity to perform with John Henderson, John Hendricks. And it was just, it was an incredible experience that led to many, many other wonderful experiences. Now, do I sing jazz music now? No. And that is simply because I feel like there are so many incredible jazz singers that have studied it for years and years and years that are far better than me. And I wanted to sing like, indie, alt, rock, pop music.
Which is what we got with Dirty Water, but we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it.
But like it was an incredible moment in my life that taught me so much. It taught me the importance of, the interaction of, instruments and the voice and lyrics, and to really listen to what's happening in the music and then respond to that. And then the music responds to you. And it taught me the importance of like, having a conversation in music and trying to communicate something, not just with the audience, but with the people that are on stage that are creating with you. And so, while I don't sing jazz anymore, I still love it. I still listen to it all the time. And I think it's definitely influenced the way that I perform, the way that I sing, and the way that I listen to music. So, yeah.
Nice. Nice. So before we move on, one jazz record that people should go listen to. Give us
Ooh.
one artist, maybe.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this album is Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. And the reason why I would say it is because when I was in college, my freshman year of college, I had to learn how to scat sing the solo, or essentially scat sing Freddie Freeloader.
Okay.
And it was one of the most challenging assignments that I think I've ever had in school in regards to music. And it's one of those albums that I just think is a classic that everybody should know, that everybody should listen to. I mean, Miles Davis is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's got an incredible catalog of music. But it's one of those albums that I just happen to like love, specifically based off of that experience and having to listen to it over and over. And now it's like ingrained in my being. But it's an incredible record. It's beautiful. It's insanely smart yet relatable music. And I know sometimes when you say jazz and you talk to people about jazz and they're like, it's too heady, it's like intellectual music, but it's like, it's not really. Like, you can put it on when you're cooking in the kitchen, or you have a little cocktail at the end of the day and you listen to it. And I feel like jazz is for everybody. So Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. If you
Miles
don't know
Davis
it,
kind of
if
blue.
you don't know it, check it out.
If you don't know it, why don't you know it? No, I'm just kidding.
No, well, you know what? I feel like, because for me, I was a late bloomer. I grew up in the gospel church world, and for a long time, I didn't really listen to anything outside of that. And so for me, it's like everybody's got their journey, and everybody has their time when they are discovering, different things and different artists. And so it's like, well, if you didn't know, now you know. Now head on over and have a listen to Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
There you go. That's right. There we have it. Lovely commercial, everyone. A lovely commercial. So the
Yes,
next song on your
cocktail.
list,
Are you having a
and
cocktail? No, you're drinking tea right now, right? What tea are you
it's
drinking?
it's it's specialty.
Oh, look at that mug.
Thank you, thank you. It's
That's a
not
pretty
branded,
mug. This
but
is my
it's
mug.
just
It
what
says
does it
cut it.
say?
It says cut it out, Karen.
Listen, cut it the fuck out, Karen. Jeez.
I saw Amanda Seals. This is like part of Amanda Seals merch, and I saw it, and I was like, I need that mug. I need to drink from it in the
Mhm.
morning, and it will just brighten up my day. It's just another nice little funny way to start the day. Cup of tea.
I love it. I love it. So tea wise, I have a peppermint combination here. What are you drinking?
This is an Indian tea. It's called ashwagandha.
Uh, what you said about Wakanda? Ashwagandha.
Ash Wakanda.
I know, I know, I know. Chadwick forever.
Chadwick Boseman. Oh God. Ashwagandha. It's an Indian tea. It's like there's like a combination of herbs in here, but it's supposed to be like
Mm,
a calming tea. It'll help you sort of like get in tune with your body, quiet the mind, be present, focused,
mm.
which is why I'm drinking it now. I can be
Yes,
here with you in the moment.
please, please be here with me, please. Thank you so much for being here.
Ashwagandha.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Satnam.
And now it's completely derailed. We're done. We're done. Oh, okay, so before we move on, now you brought up tea. What are some of your vocal tips and tricks? What do you do? Do you drink a lot of tea? Do you do honey, lemon,
Oh.
ginger stuff? What do you do?
I mean, I should probably do more. But
Make it sound good.
yeah, I do the tea thing. I do, like, if I'm recording, I've been doing a lot of home recording. So I'll do like hot water, and I'll do like a Manuka tea. I'm
Okay,
sorry, a Manuka honey with just
honey.
like super hot water. I don't do the lemon in there because sometimes I find that the lemon is a little bit drying for my throat. But I feel like, like people need to just try out a bunch of different things, because different things work for different people. Some people like the honey with the lemon and water. Some people like tea. Some people do throat coat. Sometimes I find that throat coat like makes my cords a little bit too sticky.
Okay.
So I do like just the hot water with Manuka honey. I will do lip drills sometimes, like before a show, if, my throat is a little groggy. Um, yeah.
Yeah. There
I
we have
smoke weed. I smoke weed. Weed helps. No, it doesn't. Do not smoke weed, but don't.
but don't.
You know what? I've discovered that different things work for different people, and for me, especially in 2020, you got to do whatever works for you.
Girl.
Whatever makes you feel happy and good and at one with yourself and your body and your mind and your voice. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we've got it's September. We've got like 4 months to go. Like
Yes.
Jesus. What else can
I
happen?
mean, it's almost over though.
We're gonna ride it out.
No, you know what? I feel like I've reached a point in 2020. In the beginning, it was a little. Actually, January, February wasn't so bad. March, I was just like, all right, we're gonna make it through this.
Mm-hmm.
April, May, I was like, fuck. June, it was my birthday month. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to turn up no matter what in 2020's birthday, Gemini. And then July, August, I was just like, all right, we need to just start buckling down, get things done, zone out of some things, zone into other things. And now I feel like I'm at a place where it's just like, all right, one day at a time, we're doing the things that we need to do, and that's all that we can do.
That's all we can do. There we have it.
So we'll see what the next 4 months are like.
Woo! Yes. We're gonna make it, y'all. We're gonna make it.
It's gonna be. We're gonna do it. We're gonna survive.
But yes, that's a quotable. We're gonna do it.
We are gonna do it.
We are gonna do it.
Are gonna do it.
It's kind of like Nike, just do it, but it's a little less like
but
emphatic.
But better. We are gonna do it.
We are gonna do it. Yeah. So the next song on your list is by Radiohead. It's Paranoid Android. We're gonna sample a little bit of that thing, and then we're gonna talk about it. Yo, Radiohead is a whole vibe.
First of all, Radiohead is, in my opinion, one of the greatest rock bands. I just think that they are incredibly musical and have just found a voice for themselves that is timeless. You know what I mean? Which I think we all kind of strive to do as creatives. But it's so funny because that song used to be my alarm, and my partner at the time ended up I feel like I made him hate that song in the end, because we used to hear it every single morning. It was my alarm. It was like, we'd wake up and like, please can you stop the noise? And he's just like, yes, can you please stop the noise?
Hater.
Just let me have my Radiohead moment in the morning.
Thank you.
But funny enough, I didn't actually discover Radiohead until later on in life. I know that song came out in the late 90s, but I, like I said, I was in the church. And when I say I was in the church, I was 100%, that was my life. I want to say 4 days a week, I was in church. I was singing. It was like home, school, church. And that was my life. And I did not really venture outside of, listening to gospel music. And I listened to some alternative Christian music. Jackie Velasquez at the time was my go-to. Jackie Velasquez was my girl.
Nice.
Also because she was a Latina, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's singing Christian music, but it's not like Christian music that we sing in church. It's kind of cooler.
It had a little spice to it.
You know what I mean? She wasn't like, celebrate, Jesus, celebrate. It was just a little bit more modern at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was into that. So But with that said, I didn't know who Radiohead was when I was growing up. I just, that wasn't the music that I listened to. And so later on, in life, when I discovered them, I was like, who the heck are these people? Who is this band? Like, one, because Tom York he didn't sound like, when I thought of rock music at that time, I was just like, oh, you gotta be like sort of like singing hard and like it's big and boisterous and you gotta have like the rasp thing going on. And Tom York has this sort of like almost angelic sounding voice. And oh, I get on my knees. That was my joint. I get on my knees. I get on my knees. That was my
come on
song.
now. Sing it.
But yeah, so when I discovered them, I was like, oh my God, like Tom York, he's in this rock band, but he like has this sort of like pretty voice. And for me, I had a bit of a complex when I was younger because I wanted to have that like rasp. I used to like watch interviews with Bonnie Raitt, and she was just like, I started smoking cigarettes so that I could get that like raspy sound in my voice. And I was just like, I want that rasp. I want that grit. And I discovered Tom York and Radiohead, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't need to have that grit. Like I can have like a pretty sounding voice and like still sing rock music. And so the Radiohead was kind of like my introduction to the rock world, and then through them, I started listening to all kinds of people. I mean, like Aerosmith. I was a big like singer. I was a singer rock fan, and when I say that, I mean that like it was like vocalists first. It's always kind of been vocalists first for me. I listen to the singer and then I listen to the rest of the music, but it's just like I'm a singer's singer. And so yeah, and so OK Computer was the album that introduced me to Radiohead, and then obviously I discovered the rest of their catalog, which is also incredible. The Bends is probably like my second favorite Radiohead album. But they were the reason why I started like really venturing into listening to rock music. And yeah, so that was, just an important time in my sort of young adult life, because it was a new experience. And I remember talking to friends at the time who were, fellow musicians, and they were like, oh my God, I'm so jealous you're getting to like hear this stuff for the first time. Like, it's amazing that it's crazy that you don't know this album, but also like how dope is it to, be able to discover this music, when you're older. And so that was the album for me, and that was the specific song on the album. I mean, the entire album is insanely ridiculous, but that specific song for me was like, oh God, I really love this music. So
yeah. Absolutely. I saw one of the comments say that you did an amazing cover of High and Dry. I hope that's on YouTube. I've got to go look that up.
I did do High and Dry. High and Dry is from the Bends, and they have so many incredible songs. But thank you. That is another one of my favorite songs of theirs. I just feel like Tom York, just his voice is so beautiful, and has he just kind of soars over the music. And yeah, if you're not a Radiohead fan, just go and check out the music. I feel like almost everyone is now, but if you're not familiar, check them out because they are dope.
Yes.
Do people say dope anymore?
We can say it. We say what we want.
Because they are
dope.
Fly.
No, okay. We may not say that.
Dated. That's even more dated.
We may not say that one, but that's okay. You say what you want to.
No, the Radiohead is amazing. They're an incredible band. Yeah, they're one of my favorite rock bands.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. I discovered them kind of in reverse, I guess. I discovered Coldplay first, and completely fell in love with Coldplay.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Oh, well, they're influenced by Radiohead, so you should check out Radiohead."
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest was history.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're like at this point they're an iconic rock band.
Hmm.
But, when I was discovering them, I just didn't know because I was afraid if I listened to any of that stuff that like I'd hit play and then my fingers would burst into flames.
Yeah, correct, correct.
So, I wasn't one of those adventurous youngins that was just like, I don't care what my parents say. I'm gonna listen to rock and roll. I wasn't one of those. I was just like, no, I don't want to go to hell. And I genuinely did believe that at the time.
No, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is not about me. This is about you. But my personal experience is kind of the reverse. I didn't
Okay.
listen to gospel music growing up, so I
Okay.
had other genres that I could listen to as long as they weren't cursing or talking about sex too much.
Yeah.
But gospel has been a later discovery in life for me. Along with I continue to discover all kinds of music. So that's why
Hmm.
doing the show is so amazing because people always bring me songs that I haven't heard before. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So you're like, venturing into the gospel music world now then, huh? Who
Absolutely.
are one of
So
your favorite gospel artists?
I'm obsessed with the Clark sisters, of course.
Did
Who's
you
not?
watch the Clark sisters movie?
Of course I did, and I
Okay,
loved it.
okay,
I
yeah.
loved it. Dorinda is my favorite thing. She can sing whatever she wants to.
Okay, okay.
I love her rasp. I love her tone. Of course, Karen has the
And the
all of that.
crazy just like running
Right,
up and down stairs like it's nothing. Not out
right.
of
Like
breath at all, just
vocal
running.
cardio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't. There was another song. I'll tell you maybe another time, but there was another song that I was contemplating putting on this list, but I didn't
Okay.
in the end. But it was a gospel song. But I'll tell you, we'll go on to the next one, and I'll
Yes,
tell you. I'll
yes.
tell
Tell me offline. Slide into my
you. Okay.
DMs. And tell me.
Yes, I will.
So the next song on your list is "Dream On" by Aerosmith. Ooh, yes, exactly. So we're gonna listen to their version, and then we're gonna talk about it. Y'all, welcome
Okay.
to Five Songs That Changed My Life. Special guest Amanda Brown. So of course, y'all need to go to Spotify. Actually, check out the link in my bio. It has a link to the 5 songs Spotify playlist. That song and all the rest of the songs for tonight are on there. Because you need to hear the rest. You need to hear Steven Tyler climb to the rafters and do what he does.
Just so ridiculous. Why? How?
Crazy.
How and why can he sing like that?
Still,
I remember seeing this program that I think like an ENT was doing on like some news. It was like a news special or whatever, where they scoped Steven Tyler's voice, and he had like the most perfect chords, like nothing, not one thing on his chords. Like they were just perfect looking, and he had Steven like singing in the room, and I remember watching it just like, how?
I agree. How? Because he's done all the things.
He's done all the things, and he's been singing for such a long time. And somehow well, I mean, that was a number of years ago, so I don't know about now, but
Mm.
he's been singing for such a long time, and his voice is just like ridiculous. But so that song for me, was a game changer because I covered that song on The Voice, and it was sort
Did
of
you
like
really? Never heard it.
it was a song that kind of like catapulted me on the show,
Mm.
and it was a big moment for me on the show. And
Oh
to
yeah.
this day, people still, remember that performance, which is very cool. And I actually got to meet Steven Tyler one night because I went to go see my friend Kimberly Nicole, who you also had on
Yes.
on 5 songs. She was
Love
performing
him.
at the Box at the time, and Steven Tyler was hanging out, and she introduced us. And I was like, thank you so much for letting me sing your song. He was like, I remember that. I remember when you sang that song. It was great. And I was like, thanks, Steven.
You played it cool.
I played it cool, but it was definitely like an awesome full circle moment because I had to be 100% honest. I had been singing that song in the West Village in New York City in a club called the Village Underground for a
Mm,
while
hmm.
prior to me even being on The Voice. There were like tons of songs that I used to sing down there in that club. And of all of the songs that I performed on the show, like of all of the songs that I like really, really fought for, that was the one song that I was just like, I want to sing this song. I want to sing this song. And so it was, cool that I ended up being able to do it, and even better that people enjoyed it and remember it. So, but it was an incredible moment for me, being able to perform it on a national platform like that, and and also sounded good because it gets high up there and at the end, and you never know.
Well, on
One
that
day it could
particular
be
night,
there. One day it could be there. One day it might not.
it was there on national television by the grace of God. You got up there, ma'am.
It was there. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Take a moment.
So
Take a
great. So grateful.
moment. No, seriously, I see so many comments saying they remember that moment, that they stand for that moment. They still revisit it. I did several times this week preparing for this
Who is that?
interview.
Oh, Chad. Hey, Chad.
Yes, yes. So incredible. Excuse me. Is that a song you still perform to this day?
Um, you know what? I have to kind of be in the mood to perform that song, and I got to be in a good vocal place to perform that song because it's not an easy song to sing. It's one thing to like go on stage, and that's like the one song that you perform that night on a television show, that's one thing. But then when you're doing like a full on set and you have like a million high belty songs, which I decided to write on my first solo album, all these high songs. So some nights I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. So, but it
Right.
kind of depends on like, where I am mentally and what I want to say in the show. And I know there's some moments that I've had while touring on the road where I'll pick another song that I performed on The Voice, and that'll be like my voice moment. I know a lot of people are familiar with my performances, and when they come to shows, they want to hear songs that they heard on The Voice. So I try and give them at least a song that I performed in the show, but it just may not always be Dream On. So,
Understood. Understood.
yeah.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about touring with Adele. I've seen so
Hmm.
many comments from the beginning say, "Oh, I love you from
Oh,
Adele
yeah.
tour." So give us a story, or just tell us how was that experience?
Um, it's amazing. Adele is a lovely individual. She's so chill and incredibly talented and so very giving. And the world tour that she did for 25, the people that I toured with, though, I consider those people my family, like my family is what we call each other. But we really did become a family on that tour. There was something so special about it, and the relationships that were made. And then obviously we all just really enjoyed going on stage every single night, performing behind this artist who was singing every single song live. And those songs are not easy. She's singing every single song live. And then on top of that, she's a full on comedian, like just cracking folks up
Oh,
during
she's
her show.
hilarious. She's
She's so
hilarious.
funny. And so it was just an absolute pleasure to work with her, to get to know her and become her friend, and then also to work with everyone else in the band and get to know them and everyone in the crew. And it was just a really lovely experience that I'm very, very grateful for. So I mean, I have nothing but great things to say about Adele and 25 and that tour.
That is
So there you
awesome.
go, folks.
Right. So there you have it. She has talked about the Adele
She's
tour.
great.
Absolutely. There you have it. So no nasty tea, no nasty stories. She's amazing. As
No, no. I've been very fortunate, I think, to work with people that, for the most part, have been lovely, have been, very giving of their time, and who just love music and love playing and performing great music, and everything they do, they want to be great. and that just, you know, makes us all better musicians, makes us all better performers, and it's inspiring to you know, work behind somebody like that. And you know, from Alicia Keys to Adele to even like Michael Bolton, who, you know, I've sung duets with in the past. Everybody that I've worked with has just been very, very lovely. And yeah, no, I don't have negative things to say about the people that I've worked with.
That's awesome. That
Sorry,
is-
folks. No tea today. This is the only tea that I got for y'all. Cut it out, Karen. That's the only tea I get.
Cut it out, Karen. Cut it out. Trying to fish for tea.
It's the only tea. That and you know, ashwagandha. Don't
Ashwagandha.
sing.
Yes. Yes. I was going to say that wrong. I was trying to remember it. But yes, ashwagandha. So, Amanda, we're almost at our hour mark where Instagram is going to cut us off. So let's do this,
Yes.
everybody. Do you have more time? Because we got to talk about your album.
Yeah. Yeah, I got
Okay.
time.
Okay. Awesome. So what we're going to do is go out, come back in, and we're going to
Okay.
talk about your album, Dirty Water, and the next song.
Okay. You guys have to come back. Just come right
That's
back
right.
in for this chat because this is like my music that we're gonna be talking about.
Exactly. It's the
So
most important part, y'all.
tune
So come
in.
right back in. We're going to continue this conversation in just a minute, y'all.
All right.
Yay!
We did it. We did it.
It's been so long. Yes. So the next song, the last song on your list is Dirty Water by Amanda Brown. What? Crazy.
It's
Crazy.
me.
It's you. So we're going to listen to a little bit of that beautiful, beautiful song, and then we're going to talk about what it means to you, okay?
Right.
Woo! So,
It's a
yeah,
sad one.
it's so emotional. I'm in my feels. I'm in my feels.
That is a sad ass song. You know, when I was writing that song, it was 2016, and I was on tour with Adele.
Mhm.
And, you know, I wrote a lot of that album on the road. And I was just having a moment where I was just feeling really sad and really homesick. And, you know, I wasn't in the happiest place, you know, in the relationship that I was in. And I was just like, oh my God, there are all of these incredible things going on in my life. Why do I feel so sad? And you know, the first couple of lyrics came to me, you know, pitter patter on the linen, pitter patter on the floor. Everywhere I turn, it's raining. It's just like, and then even later in the song, I go, you know, isn't rain supposed to water so that things can grow? I'm just like, aren't I supposed to be feeling incredibly happy right now about my life and all of the, you know, incredible things that are happening in my life right now? Why do I feel so sad? And so this song in particular I wrote, you know, to sort of deal with, help me try and understand the emotions that I was feeling at the time. And it ended up being the title track for the album that I wrote, Dirty Water. And it was, you know, it was a crazy time in my life where a number of incredible things were happening in my career, but, you know, in my personal life, not necessarily the greatest things at all times were happening. And so that album was sort of me not only trying to find my voice as a songwriter and as an artist, the solo artist, but also trying to navigate the emotions and experiences that I was feeling in my career and in my personal life. And it was a moment where I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about creating music. It was my first album, my first time recording an album in the studio, and I learned a lot. Shout out to you know, Andrew Sherman, who produced the album, and Ken Rich, who engineered it, and all of the incredible musicians that played on it, and Greg Tannen, who I co-wrote that song with, and a number of other songs on the album, and Colin Smith, who I also co-wrote a couple of songs on the album with as well. But yeah, it was just an insane learning experience for me. And I will take all of those experiences that I learned, or I have rather, into this next project, that I am gearing up to release soon.
Nice.
Um, the
Nice.
first single is going to be coming out in, a few months. Going to be
Very exciting.
announcing the date very shortly, so
Very
stay
excited.
tuned. But that was an album that I think I had to release. I had to have that experience where I experimented with a bunch of different sounds, where I tried things. I feel like because I was on The Voice, every after I was done, I feel like everyone had this expectation of me that I just had to like have everything together and just release the music and you know what you're doing, you know who you are. And I was just like, no, I mean, I do know who I am to a degree, but like I'm still experimenting with music. I'm still trying things in the studio. I'm still, I could write a song and it may not necessarily be a song that is meant for, myself as a solo artist, but like I needed to have that moment for me to experiment with all of those ideas and try things in order to then figure out what it is that I do like and what it is that I don't like. And I think that this next project that I'm gearing up to release is more me than any music that I've ever released. And it carries with it not just the experience of having been able to create, an album in the past and tour that album, but also it carries with it the experience of, being a more mature songwriter and being a more mature performer and having a number of years in the music industry where I can say, okay, now I know that doesn't work. And I
Hmm.
know that this does work. And now I know that I really do like this and I really don't like that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I had to have that moment, and I'm incredibly proud of that album and specifically that song because I was being very, very vulnerable. And, for the majority of my life, I would say, I lived my musical career, from slightly, backstage, not backstage, but slightly back from the front of the stage, as a background singer. And it's an incredible experience to be a background singer and travel the world, supporting other artists. But it really does take a lot of strength and trust and willingness to be vulnerable, I think, to be a solo artist because you are putting yourself out there in every single way. Like there are these songs that you write and that you create that you're sharing with everybody, and not everybody may love them. And, some people may not have the nicest things to say about them. And you release it knowing that, like, that's going to happen, but that it doesn't matter because you are this artist and this creative that wants to share a part of yourself with other people. And for me specifically, I need to just like let some of that stuff go. It's like this next single that I'm getting ready to release is a song that I just like I can't wait to release it because I'm just like that is out there and I don't got to carry it around with me anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I
It's not just
understand.
mine now, it's like yours, and now you get to carry it too.
Right. Y'all can have it. Mhm.
But and that's what I think is so special about being a songwriter and being able to share these vulnerable moments and experiences with other people. And it took me a really long time to get to that point where I'm comfortable with that. And there are still moments where I'm just like, oh, but I don't know if I want people to know this, or I don't know what people are going to say about this, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But in the end, it's always worth it to like be able to create something that is so very vulnerable and special to you and share it with people that it does resonate with. That to me is it makes it worth it, So yeah, those are my 5 songs.
Yes, 5 songs. Come on. What a way to cap it off with Dirty Water. We know that new music is coming from you, so we're super excited about that. Um,
Yes.
I have to ask because the lyricism on that song, as a songwriter, of course, I'm going to notice, is incredible. When
Thank
did you
you.
really home in on that fact that you're not only an amazing vocalist but also a great songwriter as well?
I don't call myself a great songwriter. I really don't. I
I
am
do. I think.
still
I see.
I am still learning and still growing and still experimenting. Definitely think that I'm a lot better than I was when I first started
Mm,
writing songs. I'm a lot better than I was even when I first started writing my first album.
yeah.
But I listen to people like Joni Mitchell and Prince, and I'm just like, those are great songwriters.
That's a different level. That's just like, mm,
But you know what I mean? Like when I think of great, I think of those people, and that's where I want to be. So it's just like I'm a good songwriter, and I just want every single piece of music that I write to be that. So that's what I
yeah,
strive for, I think, when I'm writing. Like I want everything that I release to be as good as it possibly can be in my head.
sure.
So so that's what I strive for. And that's all we can do is just like, because we all hear things differently. And to me, I may think that the song is dope, and somebody else may hear it and they're like, nah, but you could change that, and she could have done this, and you could have done that. And it's just like,
Of course.
well,
Of
so
course.
it's like in my head, I am striving for that degree of excellence,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Does that answer your question? I have
No,
a tendency to
completely.
ramble.
You're fine. You completely answered my question.
Okay.
Thank you. So before we go, please tell the people where they can find you and what you got coming up next.
Yes, you guys can find me here on Instagram, Amanda Leah Brown. You can also go to amandabrownmusic.com, and that has all of my social media links. You can click on all them links. They're up at the top, and you can find me on Twitter and Facebook and all that jazz. And you can subscribe to my website, and you will get. I don't like sending out a million emails because I hate when I receive a million spam emails from folks. So I
Ditto.
literally sent I feel like I sent out like 3 emails during my last tour just to let people know what all of the dates were and where I was going to be. So if you want, you can subscribe on my website, amandabrownmusic.com, and I'll let you know when the next single is going to be coming out very soon.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
nervous and excited about that. Or you can just follow me on social media, and I post it all on social media too. But yeah, say hi to me on whichever platform you prefer to use, and I'll say hi back.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you so
So
much for having me.
thank you so much for being on the show. It's great to virtually meet you. I've been a fan of your
Likewise.
voice since The Voice. Um, and if you guys missed any of these 5 songs, the interview will be up on IGTV and YouTube in a few days. The songs are on the 5 songs playlist that is on Spotify, so hit the link in my bio. You can also hit the link in my bio for the official 5 songs Music Changed My Life t-shirt, the official t-shirt of the show.
Hey, get the
Hey,
merch. Get the
come on,
merch.
get your merch.
Come
Speaking of
on
merch,
now.
do you have physical copies of Dirty Water? Because
I
I'm a tour.
do. I will send you one.
Oh,
I will
thank you so
send you
much.
one. I'm actually gearing up before I release this next single. I'm gearing up to release like the last bit of merch that I have. I have like a small selection of merch from my last album, last tour that I'm
Okay.
going to be selling and getting essentially to like give away and make way for the next round of songs and merch that I'm going to be releasing. But we'll talk outside of this, and I'll definitely send you some stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate it. All right,
Yeah,
guys. So
absolutely.
follow Amanda Leah Brown here on Instagram and keep up with the new shit that's coming.
New
Hey,
shit, new ish
new
coming
shit.
out.
Hey. All right,
Hey.
you guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much, Amanda, for being my guest.
Thank you,
Have a great night.
Jason. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.